If I were to pray in Arabic, I'd pray to Allah. If I were to pray in English, I'd pray to God. The reasons why a player is better on one club than on another are many. I certainly am not an expert and can't explain. There are over 1 million refugees in Lebanon, a country of 4 million people. How do we solve that? I have no idea. What's going on? I really don't know. I couldn't tell the truth if my life depended on it. Nobody ever said I'm a simple personality. Close friends consider me a literary snob. The relationship between France and its foreign players, blacks and North African Arabs, has always been troubled, particularly with Algerians. In Lebanon, there are completely different opinions and values in one country in terms of religion, modernity, tradition, East and West, which allows for a kind of intellectual development not available anywhere else. A team without hope fizzles, no flame out, no fire. I was about 11 or 12 when I began to pick up my mother's books. I read Shakespeare when I was 14 because it's what we were taught. Language, after all, is organic. You can't force words into existence. You can't force new meanings into words. And some words can't or won't or shouldn't be laundered or neutered. Language develops naturally. I've never had a problem finding a team, a league, or a pickup game. Actually, I'm not sure I want soccer to get bigger. We have so many teams in San Francisco that there aren't enough fields. I always assumed that everyone knew no country would ever be awarded a World Cup without pricey gifts exchanging hands under the tables. When I was younger, I used to find stories about divas charming. Not much anymore. All living languages are promiscuous. We promiscuous speakers shamelessly shoplift words, plucking bones, mots, and phrases from any tempting language. We were these words when we wished to be more formal, more elegant, more mysterious, worldly, precise, vague. In school in Lebanon, we were not allowed to speak Arabic. During breaks, it had to be French or English. I get upset about what is taken as great literature and what is cute and exotic. I can easily hold two opposing beliefs at the same time without any problem, which I find, well, mind-expanding, really. A phoenix, Beirut seems to always pull itself out its ashes, reinvents itself, has been conquered numerous times in its 7,000-year history, yet it survives by both becoming whatever its conquerors wished it to be and retaining its idiosyncratic persona. Herod is actually, it's a Lebanese dialect word. It comes from the map maker, somebody who makes a map. And it basically means somebody who tells fibs or exaggerate tales a little bit. We seem, particularly over here in the West and in America in particular, to have forgotten that we are, in large measures, the story we tell ourselves about ourselves. I jokingly say if there was one great thing about, the Lebanese Civil War was that it forced me to read. If you go through any culture that has had wars, go to the bomb shelters, and you'll hear some amazing stories. Yes, it's a necessary thing that we actually both distract ourselves, and it's a way to bond. I always say show me a storyteller who doesn't embellish, and I'll show you a bad one. I loved problems on paper, and I was good at math, but I was a mechanical engineer, and I never understood or cared to how a car worked. Every writer uses his own way to motivate oneself. When I wrote my first book, Koolaids, I felt rejected and not wanted. Nobody ever calls me a soccer-playing writer, even though I play soccer and it's part of who I am. I allegedly am an outsider writer, so I write from the perspective of somebody who doesn't completely fit in. But at the same time, I can state the fact that I don't know of any good writer who is not an outsider writer. As teenagers, a lot of us just did not want much to do with Arabic culture. We looked to the West. I started writing half a paragraph of a mystery novel, half a paragraph there, and they were terrible. I can make up stories with the best of them. I've been telling stories since I was a little kid. In 1982, Algeria made their first appearance at the World Cup. I believe it was the first Arab country to do so. No one needs to be reminded of racism in soccer, the xenophobia, the nativism, and, yes, nationalism. I oscillate between being cynical and being naive on a regular basis. I always think that not much shocks me until something much too obvious does. In 1975, I left the burning city of Beirut for the quiet insanity of England. To say that short, frail, and wispy 15-year-old me didn't fit in would be such an understatement as to be a joke. I stuck out more in an English public school than I would have had I marched in a May Day parade with the Red Army in Moscow, or sashayed the Yves Saint Laurent catwalk with supermodels, or hunted seals with the Inuit, or, well, you get the idea. For me, soccer was a dance. I gave up on the delusion that these players enjoy soccer as much as I do, that they play for the love of the game. When the Lebanese Civil War started in 1975, I was 15. I was shipped to boarding school in England and, after that, to UCLA. In the summer of 1988, my father took me up to look at the remains of our home, the dream house that he'd built. It was my first time since our family left 4 years earlier. Political and obscene graffiti covered the half-torn walls. There was no ceiling and surprisingly no floor. The parquet, the stone, the marble, all looted. English has always had a special fondness for other European languages, a neighborly soft spot, perhaps because Britain has been invaded by speakers of those languages from the onset of its recorded history. Whenever I come across an Arabic word mired in English text, I am momentarily shocked out of the narrative. One of the things I enjoy most during the World Cup is watching a team improve, mature, and gel during the course of the tournament. I was gay before I began to play soccer over 40 years ago. It's been 28 years since a friend and I organized one of the first gay soccer teams in the world. Homophobia is rampant in soccer, probably more so than in any other sport. I'm not sure why. I have to admit, I'm not patriotic. It is partly to do with principle, but it is also a phobia/neurosis. A player should be disparaged if he gives less than his all. If he doesn't give 100%, no matter what shirt he's wearing. Whether it's your national team, your club, or little league. Yes, there are friendly matches, recreational ones, and so on, but sport in its essence is about giving your best. Soccer is the most widely played sport in the US. I think I'm being conservative when I say there are more people playing soccer in the United States than in 90% of the world's other countries, probably 95%. If you want to know whether soccer is big in America, pick a weekend, go to any park in the land, and pay attention. We're there. We've always been. My father loved Brazilian football, a die-hard follower, so of course, he hated Germany and always rooted against them, always. My father and I rarely saw eye to eye when I was growing up. We saw the world differently. It was only when we were both adults that we were able to share spectacles. However, football, and particularly the World Cup, was when we, enemy combatants, could traverse trenches and be together. The Lebanese Civil War, 1975 to 1990, spanned 4 World Cups. It would have been a more symmetrical 5 had the Lebanese begun in 1974, but we're Mediterranean, and timing isn't our forte. A soccer game is a Wagner opera. The narrative sets up, the tension builds, the music ebbs and flows, the strings, the horns, more tension, and suddenly a moment of pure bliss. Trumpet-tongued Gabriel sings, and gods descend from Olympus to dance this peak of ecstasy. I know many sports fans that don't enjoy soccer. The argument is that there's no action, not enough of it. Now I love hoops. I'm a die-hard UCLA fan, have been since my freshman year. But basketball is the 1812 overture. Pomp and circumstance, fireworks and cannons, lots and lots of fun, and in the end, still Tchaikovsky. A game of soccer induces more than enjoyment, more than entertainment. Before prognostication, a disclaimer: I have never been able to pick a winner. Not that it has ever stopped me from trying to. Well, it has stopped me from buying stock, but let's not talk about that.